The Xilthari had always feared predators. It wasn't an abstract fear, like humans worrying about ghosts or the dark. It was woven into their biology, carved into their bones by millennia of survival. Their ancestors had not conquered their world through brute force, but through caution, by knowing which shadows had teeth and which sounds signaled death. So when they first encountered humans, they had hoped, prayed, even, that these soft-skinned, forward-facing-eyed bipeds were something other than what they so obviously were. Their predators, hissed Ambassador Rilzeth, his crest frilled in alarm as he stared at the transmission. His 3 fingers clenched the edge of the hollow panel. Look at their eyes, both facing forward. Depth perception. The mark of a killer. Ambassador, murmured his aide, Tilex, smoothing his frill in a display of forced calm. Let's not jump to conclusions. Many species have convergent traits. Perhaps they are foragers? Tilex, Rilzeth snapped. Foragers do not grin like that. Look at its mouth. Look at the rows of teeth. What could those possibly be for? Tilex hesitated. He had to admit, the human on the screen did have an unsettling number of teeth, and worse, it seemed to enjoy showing them off. Their scientists had a theory, one Rilzeth had desperately tried to ignore. The humans used this display to communicate friendliness. Maybe it's a submissive gesture? Tilex offered weakly. Rilzeth swiped a clawed hand through the air, closing the screen as if that would banish the image from his mind. No species that evolved a display of dominance using its killing tools can be trusted. Yet, as much as he hated it, ignoring the humans wasn't an option. They were everywhere, establishing trade routes, making diplomatic overtures, cheerfully transmitting their ridiculous music across open channels. Even worse, they were successful. Other species, even some of the more cautious ones, had begun to embrace them. So the Xilthari did what they did best. They watched, they analyzed, they debated. And when the humans extended an invitation for a formal meeting, they debated some more. Rilzeth had fought against it, citing all the data on human physiology and psychology, the carnivorous history, the war records, the disturbing number of creative ways they had devised to kill each other, but the council had ruled against him. You will go, they had said, and you will not panic. So here he was, stepping cautiously onto the human space station, heart hammering in his chest as he scanned the crowd for signs of attack. The humans were watching him, grinning their unsettling grins. But so far, no one had tried to eat him. A good start. A human ambassador, Dr. Elena Vasquez, according to his translator, approached with an extended hand. Rilzeth braced himself. Ambassador Rilzeth, she said warmly. Welcome to Starbase Concordia. Rilzeth eyed the hand warily. It had nails, not full claws, but definitely remnants of something that used to be claws. The urge to recoil was strong. He settled for bowing deeply instead. We appreciate your hospitality, he said, carefully avoiding her gaze. We come in peace. We do too, Elena said cheerfully. Well, mostly. I mean, obviously, history is complicated and there were some rough patches, but these days were all about cooperation. Rilzeth tried not to flinch. Rough patches? Yes, but that's ancient history. We're peaceful now. She clapped him on the shoulder, an action so unexpected he nearly launched himself across the room in panic. Tilex coughed meaningfully. Rilzeth pulled himself together. The meeting went about as well as he could have hoped. There was discussion of trade, cultural exchange, mutual cooperation. It was all going fine until someone brought up the animals. Oh, you should visit Earth sometime, Elena was saying. We have some incredible biodiversity. Our ecosystems are filled with all sorts of amazing creatures. Yes, Rilzeth said carefully, hoping to steer the conversation to something safer, like planetary geography. We, too, have a deep respect for nature. Elena beamed. Exactly. That's why we work so closely with our animals. Some of them have been with us for thousands of years. Like dogs. Rilzeth stilled. Dogs? Oh yeah, they're incredible. We've trained them to do all sorts of things. Hunting, tracking, security, search and rescue. Rilzeth's pupils constricted to pinpricks. Wait, You train predators? Tilex made a choking sound beside him. Well, yeah, Elena said, as if this was a perfectly reasonable thing to admit in polite company. Not just dogs. Falcons, too. Some people even train big cats, though that's a little more specialized. Asterisk, asterisk, you train apex predators? Asterisk, asterisk, Rilzeth's voice had gone high and thin, his frills pressed flat against his skull. Well, yeah, but it's not about making them more dangerous. It's about partnership. Mutual respect. A good working dog isn't just an animal. It's family. Tilex grabbed Rilzeth's arm. We should go. Yes, Rilzeth croaked. We should definitely go. But before they could escape, a door slid open and a dog trotted in. The Xilthari froze. It was big. Far bigger than Rilzeth had imagined. He had expected something small, like a scavenger. This was a beast, its powerful shoulders rolled under a thick pelt of fur, its dark eyes locked onto them with laser focus. It grinned. Rilzeth let out a strangled squeak. Oh, don't worry, Elena said, rubbing the monster's head. This is Buster. He's a sweetheart. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Buster, for his part, wagged his tail and sat obediently at Elena's feet. Rilzeth stared in sheer horror. This was worse than he had thought. The humans didn't just coexist with predators. They commanded them. They made them sit on cue. Ambassador, Tilex whispered, his voice trembling, we are going to die. Elena, oblivious to the existential crisis unfolding before her, grinned. You want to pet him? Rilzeth let out a strangled wheeze. He had come here fearing that humans were a dangerous species. He had been wrong. They were something much, much worse. They were the apex of apex predators. They didn't just hunt. They trained hunters. And they made them wag their tails while doing it. Tilex fainted. Ambassador Rilzeth had never needed a diplomatic emergency exit plan before. Until now, the moment his aide Tilex had collapsed from sheer existential horror, he had considered doing the same. Instead, he had stood there, frozen, while the human ambassador continued grinning at him, blissfully unaware of the utter psychological collapse she had just inflicted upon his people. Oh no, Elena Vasquez said, crouching beside Tilex's limp form. Is he okay? Rilzeth barely heard her. His eyes remained locked on Buster. The enormous predator that had casually trotted into the room like this was perfectly normal. To humans, maybe it was normal, and that was the problem. The beast tilted its head, ears perked forward. Rilzeth tensed, trying not to react as prey would. Sudden movements might trigger an attack. But to his horror, Buster took a step toward him. Rilzeth squeaked. Buster's tail wagged. Right, Elena said, clearly trying to suppress a laugh. So, I think we've established that you guys aren't super comfortable around dogs. This is a gross understatement, Rilzeth choked out. Noted. She exhaled and gestured to a human assistant, who quickly led Buster out of the room. The beast obeyed without hesitation. It obeyed. This, more than anything, disturbed Rilzeth the most. True predators did not obey, they stalked, they killed, they consumed. And yet, this one had responded to a mere gesture, as if humans had tamed the very nature of death itself. Tilex groaned as he regained consciousness, sitting up slowly. Did I die? Not yet, Rilzeth muttered. But I suspect our fate is worse than death. We must speak with the High Council immediately. Elena's smile faded just slightly. Look, I get it. This is a lot to process. But maybe instead of running away and assuming the worst, you let us explain? Rilzeth narrowed his eyes. Explain? Yeah, she said, sitting down across from them. You're terrified because we have a relationship with predators, right? That is an insufficiently strong way to phrase it. Okay, but what if I told you it's not about control? It's about cooperation. Tilex and Rilzeth exchanged a glance. The only kind of cooperation the Xilthari had ever known with predators was not becoming lunch on any given day. Tilex hesitated. You claim the predator benefits from this arrangement? Elena nodded. Of course. We domesticated dogs thousands of years ago. They help us, we help them. They trust us completely. That's even worse, Rilzeth burst out. You've removed their very instincts. They should be resisting. They should be fighting for dominance. Elena raised an eyebrow. And yet, they don't. Rilzeth shut his mouth. Tilex rubbed his head frills, clearly torn between horror and curiosity. How? Elena pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A holographic projection appeared. Images of dogs working alongside humans. A canine guiding a blind woman through a crowded city. Another sniffing out survivors from beneath rubble. A third standing guard beside a child. Alert, protective. These are working dogs, Elena explained. Not hunters. Helpers. Some even save lives. Rilzeth watched, fascinated despite himself. This was not what he had expected. He had imagined carnage, blood, weapons of war. Instead, he saw something else entirely. Asterisk, asterisk loyalty, companionship, mutual respect, asterisk, asterisk. It made no sense. You claim, he said slowly, that these creatures do this willingly? That they are not forced? Elena grinned. If they didn't want to trust me, we wouldn't be able to make them. That was perhaps the most chilling thing of all. The humans had not subjugated the predators. They had befriended them, and the predators had chosen to stay. Tilex exhaled. The council will not believe this. They might have to. A new voice entered the conversation. A human officer rushing into the room, face tight with urgency. Ambassador Vasquez, we just received an emergency distress call. It's from a Xilthari colony. Rilzeth's blood ran cold. What happened? Massive earthquake. Multiple collapses. They're asking for help. For a moment, no one spoke. The Xilthari were advanced, but disasters were disasters. When nature decided to strike, there was little technology could do to prevent it. Elena stood. We can send a rescue team immediately. Rilzeth hesitated. His instincts screamed at him. Asterisk, asterisk, this is the moment of weakness. The moment an apex predator would strike, asterisk, asterisk, yet humans didn't operate like normal predators. They were something else entirely. Fine, he said at last. But we oversee the operation. No unnecessary risks. Elena smirked. You got it? It was only when they arrived at the disaster site that Rilzeth realized he had made a mistake. Because the first wave of human responders brought dogs. There were more of them now. Dozens of the beasts, of varying sizes and colors, outfitted with specialized gear. They leaped from shuttles with joyful enthusiasm, tails wagging, ears perked. Rilzeth clutched Tilex's arm. They brought a pack. Tilex nodded grimly. This is the end. But it wasn't. Before Rilzeth could fully descend into panic, the dogs got to work. And what they did was nothing short of miraculous. One by one, they darted through rubble, squeezing into crevices too small for human rescuers, sniffing out survivors buried beneath debris. They barked and signaled, guiding teams to those in need. They worked with precision, coordination, purpose, and not one turned on the weak. Not one exploited the vulnerability before them. Instead, they protected. They saved asterisk, asterisk. Rilzeth watched, struggling to process what he was seeing. These creatures, these trained predators, were acting in direct opposition to everything the Xilthari had believed about survival. A sharp bark pulled his attention to the side, where a smaller dog, one with golden fur and too much enthusiasm for a creature with sharp teeth, was tugging at a piece of rubble. The human handler knelt beside it, feeling along the space it had marked. There's someone here. Within minutes, they had extracted a Xilthari child, alive, gasping, trembling, but alive. The dog wagged its tail. The child stared at it, wide-eyed. And then, in the quietest, most fragile voice, the child whispered, "Good hunter." Rilzeth felt something shift inside him. Something fundamental. Elena stood beside him, arms crossed. "So," she said, a knowing smile in her voice, "still think we're monsters?" Rilzeth exhaled. No, because the truth was far, far stranger. The humans were not monsters. They were something infinitely more terrifying. They were kind, and somehow, impossibly, they had taught their predators to be the same. Tilex cleared his throat. "Ambassador?" "Yes. We need to revise our diplomatic report." Rilzeth nodded slowly, eyes still locked on the golden dog, licking the rescued child's face, tail thumping happily against the ground. "Yes," he murmured. "I believe we do." And for the first time, he truly wondered, if humanity could turn killers into guardians, what else might they be capable of? He wasn't sure, but for the first time, he wanted to find out. Ambassador Rilzeth never thought he would willingly return to a human space station. Yet here he was, stepping on a starbase Concordia once more, his nerves considerably frayed but his purpose clear. The High Council had spent an excruciating amount of time debating the humans. Some still clung to the belief that they were simply apex predators in disguise, lulling the universe into a false sense of security before launching their inevitable conquest. Others, Rilzeth included, had come to a far more unsettling conclusion. Humans weren't predators. They were something worse. They were companions. And somehow, through some ancient, incomprehensible magic they called domestication, they had convinced actual predators to love them. That alone warranted further study, which was why Rilzeth was here, taking part in the first official negotiations between the Xilthari and humanity. As he stepped into the meeting chamber, he spotted Ambassador Elena Vesquez waiting at the table, grinning her unsettling, toothy display of dominance. "Ambassador Rilzeth, welcome back." Rilzeth did not flinch this time. He was adapting. "I appreciate the invitation," he said smoothly, settling into his chair with only mild existential dread. "The Council has reconsidered its stance on humanity." Elena's grin widened. "Let me guess. The dog thing?" Rilzeth exhaled. The dog thing? He would never admit how many sleepless nights had been spent staring at his ceiling, whispering to himself, "They train predators. They train predators. And the predators obey ****. Elena leaned forward, amused. "So, you're here to discuss an alliance?" "Yes." Rilzeth's frills twitched. "The Council recognizes the strategic advantage of working with a species capable of commanding highly specialized biological assets." "You mean dogs?" "Yes, dogs." He said the word carefully, as if it might bite if uttered incorrectly. Elena smirked. "We'd be happy to cooperate. Though I have to ask, does this mean the Xilthari want dogs of their own?" Rilzeth froze. Tilex, seated beside him, immediately dropped his tablet. What? Elena shrugged. "It's a reasonable offer. Plenty of species in the Galactic Coalition have adopted working dogs. Search and rescue, therapy animals, emotional support." Tilex twitched. You were saying we should cohabitate with predators for emotional stability? It's worked for humans. Rilzeth rubbed his temples. "You do realize the mere concept of this is enough to cause widespread cultural panic?" "Sure." Elena waved a hand. "But hear me out. What if we let you try it first?" Rilzeth blinked. "Try? I mean, look, I get it. You guys need to ease into the whole dogs are a great thing. So why not start small? You experience it firsthand, report back, and if it works out, boom. Xilthari Dog Integration Initiative." Tilex whispered, "She's insane." Rilzeth was inclined to agree. And yet, images flashed through his mind. The dogs at the disaster site, saving lives without hesitation. The child, rescued from the rubble, calling the golden beast a good hunter. The thought of bringing this idea before the Council made his frills crawl. But the thought of not understanding the human's secret power, this strange, impossible ability to turn killers into guardians, bothered him more. For better or worse, he needed to understand. Slowly, against all reason, he said, "A trial period. Under strict supervision." Elena's face lit up. "I have the perfect dog in mind." Rilzeth did not like the sound of that. He liked it even less when, 2 hours later, he was standing in a human training facility as a medium-sized, floppy-eared beast barreled toward him at full speed. No. It leapt. Rilzeth braced for death. Instead, he was tackled to the ground and aggressively nuzzled. Elena's laughter echoed through the training yard. "Meet Muffin. She's a sweetheart." Rilzeth flailed as Muffin, this deceptively named menace, enthusiastically licked his face. Tilex stood frozen beside him. "Ambassador," he whispered, horror-stricken. "It is tasting you for later." Elena snorted. "She's showing affection." Rilzeth groaned from the ground. trapped beneath an unreasonably affectionate predator. This is a diplomatic nightmare. And yet, as Muffin wagged her tail, as the human trainer effortlessly guided her through basic commands, a tiny, treacherous part of him whispered, "Is it though?" 2 weeks later, he was back on the Xilthari homeworld, staring at the High Council as he made the single most insane diplomatic recommendation of his career. "We should establish a working relationship with these dogs," he said. "Supervised, of course. A trial program." Silence. Then, "Ambassador," one council member said slowly, "do you understand what you are suggesting?" Rilzeth swallowed. "Yes." Another leaned forward. "You were touched by the predator?" Rilzeth's frills twitched. Repeatedly, Tillex shuddered beside him. "I was there." The council erupted into pandemonium. At first there was outrage, then horror, then, curiously, the same thing that had plagued Rilzeth from the start. Reluctant, unsettling fascination, By the time the debate settled, a decision had been made. A small-scale program, strict observation, and only the least intimidating of the predators. Rilzeth exhaled, weary but victorious. It would take time. It would take patience. But if the humans had proven anything, it was that time and patience could do the impossible. They could make predators love. And somehow, impossibly, the Xilthari were about to learn how. A month later, Rilzeth stood in a courtyard, watching as a carefully selected group of Xilthari tentatively interacted with a group of the least threatening canines humanity had to offer. One dog flopped onto its back, exposing its belly in pure, unguarded trust. A Xilthari scientist fainted. Tillex sighed. "This is our future now, isn't it?" Rilzeth watched as another dog, Muffin, of course, bounded toward him, tail wagging. He did not flee this time. Instead, he reached out and, for the first time, petted the beast. Muffin licked his hand. Rilzeth shuddered. Tillex whispered, "You're one of them now." Rilzeth sighed. He supposed there were worse fates,